Hi, this is Matt in the Otaku area of Tokyo. In this video I want to talk about the choice of programming language. I'm going to talk about software. So should you go for C++, C#, Python, Java, COBOL, which language to choose and when? This is the topic of this video. C++ is for all programmers who should retire. C# is for babies who can't program. Java is for tree huggers with beards. Everyone should use Python everywhere, all the time. Well, I'm sure you're getting a sense of where I'm getting at, because I'm just teasing. It's always the right tool for the right job. So the question is to choose the right language in the right situation. So so when should you use which language and why? So let's start with C++. So I've actually started with C++ when I was learning programming. Actually, no, I started with C before that. And before that, I started with Turbo Pascal. I don't know, actually, I started with GFA Basic on the Atari. No, I started with Basic, you know, the one with the line numbers, 10, 20, 30, and that was on the Texas Instruments. But anyway, coming back to the point, when should you use C++? But the answer is very, very simple. It just fits in one sentence. You should use C++ when the CPU is the bottleneck. Not the database, not the network, the CPU. So if you're taking, for instance, your usual standard enterprise application where you've got a client running on Windows, for instance, you've got data on a database on SQL Server, you can have some processes running on the server that will prepare this data and store it inside the database. Typically when you do that, the bottleneck is the database, not the CPUs. Do you need C++ for this? No, you don't. So, when are you going to need C++? Well, every time you have a server that gets hit by a lot of users, like for instance the Facebook servers or the Google servers, obviously they need to go fast, they need to be written in C++. Or another application would be in banking, the server farms, the calculation farms, that run big calculation engines that, for instance, compute implied volatility from current option prices using a reversed algorithm from Black-Scholes. This needs a lot of computing power. It doesn't do anything else than using the CPU. Therefore, CPU is the bottleneck, and you need to run as fast as possible. You need C++. So there you go. So what about C#? Well, C++ developers say that C# is for little girls. But actually C# is very powerful, very useful, especially in the case where the database and the network are the bottleneck, not the CPU. And where you need production critical environment. Your application is going to be production critical. That means it needs to be robust. So you want compile time checking. This is very important. You want compile time checking, okay, to protect the software from programmers' errors. Okay, this is something that scripting languages wouldn't have, for instance. You want support for unit testing. You want to have your software running on a build machine. So this is all for production critical applications. It will be GUI, server-based processes, things looking to databases. So C# is perfect for that. So what about scripting languages like Python? Well, they're going to be useful for everything where you need to write something fast and the easiest way possible. So Python is good for that. It's much easier than C#, much easier, of course, much easier than C++, no doubt about that. However, it's interpreted, not compiled, so you have to be careful. So what are you going to use it for? You're going to use it for things that are not too production critical, such as deployment scripts, testing scripts, things, support scripts. So things where you're not going to go for heavy unit testing. This sort of thing. Now the thing to be careful with Python is that it's interpreted, it's not compiled. That means that most of the programmer's errors, they will not be found first, okay? They will be found at runtime. If you make a programming error is not going to be spotted when you type the program, is going to be spotted when it runs. That means it might turn out to crash. It's more likely to crash in the production environment. So you have to be careful, you have to know what you're doing. It's a bit trickier, but it's much easier than C# and C++. So what about Java then? Because I was talking about C#. How about Java? Why would you use C#? Why would you use Java? Well, actually, both languages are really equivalent. Okay, they use the same concepts. They do pretty much the same thing. So it's going to be down to your culture, the legacy, to the skills. It's going to be down to the skills of your existing team. That's probably the most important. So it's very down to personal preferences. I mean, what sort of food your cat eats, the eye color of your mom, your room temperature, things like that. So it's not. Both languages are used for the same thing. They both use a situation where network or database are the bottleneck. However, one common mistake that C# or Java developers do is that they tend to ignore the database, because those languages offer you libraries that do everything to abstract out the database so that you can be inside your nice, comfortable little bubble, inside your nice little C# bubble or Java bubble. It's like you're putting on nice slippers and you don't have to walk outside in the snow. It's really your oh, it's nice, it's C#, all I have to do is to write C# code and never have to interact with anything else. Well, no. Precisely because we said that C# and Java are used in a situation where the database is the bottleneck. That means you have to know how to use the database. You have to know how to program the database. If you're working with Oracle, you have to know Oracle, and you have to know PL/SQL. If you're working with SQL Server, you have to know SQL Server and work with T-SQL. This is really important. This is essential. You have to know how to build a database schema, how to tweak indices in order to keep the database running smoothly. And there are plenty of little subtle things you have to know about database. This is hard, actually. This is the hardest part. This is not easy. So you can't ignore that. You have to take on databases and learn them. So what's the conclusion of all this? Well, it's very simple. C++ is for the situation where the CPU is the bottleneck. C# and Java when the database is the bottleneck, but you have to know the database. And then the scripting languages such as Python, that's for everything else in the situations where the most important is that you code fast and easily. So that's it. It's not complicated. There's no reason to make a big fuss out of it. And that was it. So that was Matt from the geeky area of Tokyo. I forgot the name. See you later.